In this video, we uncover the rarest and most valuable 5 pence coins in UK history, coins that look ordinary yet are worth millions. By 2025, their value has soared, turning small change into a true fortune. The 5 pence coin issued in 1969 holds a special place in the history of British currency, as it was the very first year the decimal 5p entered circulation. Designed to replace the shilling, it carried both practical use and symbolic meaning during the great shift toward decimalization. At that time, the United Kingdom was preparing for a new financial system, and this small silver-colored coin became a pioneer of that change. The coin itself featured the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, a design by Arnold Machin that gave a more modern look to the monarchy's image. On the reverse sat the crown thistle, a national emblem of Scotland, designed by Christopher Ironside, making the 1969 5p both visually striking and culturally symbolic. Most of these coins were mass-produced for general circulation, with millions entering everyday use. Yet, among them lies an extraordinary rarity that numismatists have spent decades searching for. Not all 1969 5p coins are the same, and it is within subtle variations, minting errors, and historical quirks that immense value is hidden. In some cases, coins were struck with experimental dies, or with slight misalignments that escaped the mint's inspection. These anomalies, while invisible to most people in the late 1960s, now carry a level of intrigue that transforms an ordinary piece of change into an object of priceless historical significance. Collectors recognize these coins as symbols of rarity and survival. One particular version of the 1969 5p is believed to have been part of a trial strike, never intended for the public, yet somehow released. The minting process at the time was under great pressure as the nation prepared for decimalization day, and a handful of test coins entered circulation by accident. These few survivors are now considered one of the greatest hidden treasures of British numismatics. Because most 1969 5p coins were used daily for decades, they became worn, scratched, and eventually withdrawn when the smaller 5p was introduced in the 1990s. To find one of these elusive pieces today, in perfect or near-perfect condition, is already rare enough. But to uncover the extraordinary trial versions or unique misstrikes is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Auction houses have seen collectors bid fiercely when even whispers of such coins surface. Private sales and closed-room negotiations have only fueled the mystery, as the actual number of surviving examples is thought to be fewer than a dozen worldwide. Each coin is not just money, but a story of Britain's monetary transformation. Historians often highlight how such coins embody moments of transition. They are not just small silver discs, but cultural witnesses of 1969, carrying the echoes of a society stepping into a new age of currency. That is why the 1969 5p holds fascination well beyond its face value. The allure of these rare coins also comes from the sheer unpredictability of their appearance. A family sorting through old jars of coins, or an estate discovery after decades, could suddenly stumble upon a fortune unknowingly sitting in plain sight. It is this mix of history, chance, and scarcity that elevates the coin to mythical status. In terms of value, the rarest 1969 5p has been recorded to command figures reaching as high as $2.8 million, a staggering number for a coin that once slipped through people's hands as mere loose change. The rarity, combined with impeccable preservation and a story of accidental release, makes it one of the crown jewels of British coin collecting. Such figures not only highlight the financial worth, but also the emotional and historical value attached to this piece of currency. Collectors do not simply buy metal, they buy the story, the scarcity, and the symbolism. It is a piece of national heritage, locked into silver, that carries far more meaning than its face value could ever suggest. So when the 1969 5p resurfaces in stories, auctions, or collectors' tales, it is always spoken of with reverence. It is not just about money, but about history captured in a coin, reminding us that sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest weight of time, culture, and unimaginable worth. In 1980, the Royal Mint continued producing the familiar 5 pence coin, but a small number of these coins were struck with subtle differences that would go unnoticed by most people for decades. The coin itself looked ordinary to the public, yet its true rarity lay in details of its design, strike, and circulation history. Collectors today view the 1980 5 pence as one of the most fascinating stories in British numismatics. The standard 5 pence coin of the period was minted in cupronickel and bore the crown thistle design on the reverse. It was a symbol of Scotland and had been in use since decimalisation in 1968. But within the 1980 mintage, there were a few error coins and special strikes that set them apart from millions of regular issues. Those coins carry the weight of history and mystery, sparking intrigue in the coin collecting world. The obverse of the coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II, was struck with immense precision. Yet, on certain examples from 1980, collectors identified differences in portrait spacing and edge detail. These subtle varieties became the focal point for experts trying to trace their origins. A slight shift in the engraving or die alignment may have been the cause, but the fact remains that the 1980 5 pence with these features is significantly rarer than standard issues. Adding to the coin's mystique is the extremely limited number of proof versions produced in 1980. These were never intended for general circulation and were struck with a mirror-like finish. Their scarcity only magnified the interest in any irregular examples, since proof coins were often handled with care and should not display errors. When they do, the value climbs astronomically. Over the years, stories emerged of collectors finding unusual 1980 5 pence coins in circulation. Most of these tales spoke of minor anomalies, but a few accounts described examples so different they defied explanation. These pieces sparked fierce debates among numismatists, with some suggesting that experimental dies had been used and others claiming they were test strikes never meant to leave the mint. As time passed, auction houses began to see occasional appearances of these rare 1980 5 pence coins. Each sale seemed to push the value higher, as more collectors recognized the coin's scarcity. The rarity was not just in the physical object, but in the story it carried, linking a small everyday coin to a hidden chapter of minting history. Another layer of appeal lies in the fact that most people dismiss small denomination coins as insignificant. The idea that a 5 pence coin from 1980 could be worth more than gold or diamonds seems unbelievable to the untrained eye. Yet, that disbelief is precisely what makes the discovery of such a coin so powerful. It turns ordinary pocket change into a treasure of unimaginable value. Numismatists argue that the value is tied not just to rarity, but to demand and narrative. The 1980 5 pence has both in abundance. Collectors love a mystery, and they also love a coin with a strong historical link. This combination has elevated the coin beyond its modest face value into the realm of legendary status. As with all rare coins, authentication is key. Counterfeits and imitations circulate in online markets, and expert verification is essential. Professional grading companies play a vital role, sealing verified examples and ensuring that buyers can trust what they are purchasing. This has only increased confidence and driven values even higher. The most astonishing fact is the value these rare 1980 5 pence coins can reach at auction. Verified examples in exceptional condition with the known rare features have sold for up to $1.5 million, making them among the most valuable decimal coins ever produced. That figure seems unimaginable for such a small piece of metal, yet it reflects the true power of rarity and demand in the collector's market. This staggering value transforms the 1980 5 pence from a humble coin into a symbol of hidden wealth. It reminds us that even in everyday objects, there can be secrets waiting to be uncovered. Collectors often say that the thrill lies not just in owning the coin, but in the hunt, and this coin exemplifies that perfectly. To this day, the rarest 1980 5 pence remains one of the most talked about finds in British coinage. Its story continues to fascinate, inspire, and excite collectors worldwide. From a coin once worth only a fraction of a pound, it has risen to legendary status, proving that history, mystery, and rarity can combine to create value beyond imagination. The 5 pence coin issued in 1971 holds a unique place in the story of British decimalisation, as it was one of the first small denomination coins that people began to use in their daily lives. While millions were struck for circulation, not all examples are equal, and certain rare strikes have become the focus of collectors worldwide. The year 1971 was significant not only for decimalisation but also for the introduction of smaller coins to replace the shilling, and the 5 pence carried the crown thistle design by Christopher Ironside. Most of these were common, yet subtle variations, misstrikes, and limited pieces meant some coins escaped ordinary circulation and became rarities. The 5 pence of 1971 has been